Ruth Mitchell, and I want to thank you for welcoming me and my husband Tim into your church family here at BCC. I love coming and singing together and praising God, studying the Word together, and learning how to serve one another. My interests and passions are varied. I'm passionate about people, nature, art and music. I love sunsets. I love walking on the beach, hiking on trails in the woods, discovering waterfalls and wildflowers and taking photographs. I love museums and galleries, concerts and farmers markets. I find that when I'm surrounded by beauty, I feel close to God. And I love the quote by John O'Donohue, an Irish poet, beauty is God's invisible embrace. And that's how I feel when I'm surrounded by beauty, and I'm passionate about it. I come from a large extended family who immigrated from Germany in the 1920s and 30s. And when God brought my husband Tim into my life, I was a single mom of 2 teenage girls. And Tim's family are Canadian, and he could count his relatives on one hand outside of his sister in Toronto area and her family. So it was interesting when we had our first Easter together in the spring of 2005, and I said we've been invited to a family gathering to celebrate Easter. And we arrived at my mom's cousin's, and he looked around at over 100 people and said, "Are you related to all of them?" And of course, we adopted him into our large extended family, and he's been a great husband and dad to my girls. My oldest daughter, Kristen, is now 36, and she lives in Baltimore with her husband, Ben, and her 4 young kids. We were there 2 months ago for Caleb's birth, and we miss being this far away, but thankfully we can travel again and be together. My youngest daughter, Lauren, is 33, and she and Brian live in the San Jose area, outside San Jose, and she works at IBM. And being a mom and a grandma is one of the joys in my life. Important people I've met on my spiritual journey would be the women of faith that God has brought into my life, especially I think of my grandmothers. They showed me by their example and by conversations during my college years when I just lived a few miles away from them and spent every other weekend in their home, what it looked like and to be a woman of faith, and encouraged me in those decisions that I was making in those years. More recently, the women of faith in my life would be my Bible study leaders. Having just moved recently from San Jose, it was Luann Budd, our pastor's wife. Here at BCC, it's Sandy Weiss and Janet Russell, and they are helping me to grow deeper in my faith and on my spiritual journey. One important thing that I've learned about God and faith this past year is that when something feels too big and impossible, I can trust God. I can trust Him to bring alongside help and people to pray with me and help at just the right time. And we experienced this last spring. Those helpers in my life included just the right realtor to help get our house ready to sell in San Jose, and all of her connections so that when we moved out, she had it on the market and it sold very quickly. And then to do that, God brought family members to help us sort and pack and get ready to leave. And a great moving company that we couldn't have done it without either. And through it all, I don't know, I was pinching myself for weeks after when we were up here in Whatcom County. How did that happen? How did we accomplish that? And it was because God accomplished it, and He brought the right people alongside, and He helped us all along the way. One thing I wonder about is what Jesus had in mind and what it would look like if God's kingdom comes on earth. What would it look like in my life, here at BCC, in our neighborhoods, if we truly believed, if all Christ followers truly believed that God's kingdom is here? What would happen? What would change? What would that look like? That's what I wonder. In my everyday life, faith is first quiet and clear about what God has in mind. The verse that comes to mind is what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 2:16, where he says, we have the mind of Christ. And in the Amplified Bible, it says, we have the mind of Christ to be guided by His thoughts and purposes. So I ask myself, in what ways is God inviting me to partner in His kingdom work here in Bellingham and around the world? Though I'm a retired nurse, I've got a midwife's heart to come alongside and support new life. And that might be, for me, at a home birth or health coaching or spiritual encouragement and especially prayer. To come alongside and serve people in any way and whatever way God calls me. As a volunteer and child ambassador for World Vision, my midwife's heart wants to come alongside each child growing up in extreme poverty, both here in the States and around the world, so that that child can reach their full potential. Next month, here at BCC in February, our Covenant Church is celebrating our 10-year partnership with World Vision in the DR Congo. And this partnership that started 10 years ago brings water and health care, education, livelihood, agriculture, savings groups, hope and transformation to children and families and communities in the poorest part of Congo, in Ledia, in Gemena, in Karawa. I want to be a world changer, one child at a time.